numbers for both of their respective squads. Really got to see how it breaks down as we jump into the picks and bans.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about coaching, because these coaches, I mean, they're going to have to draft their first best of 5 here and adapt between games. And that's the big thing for me here is a lot of coaches, like it was the problem with like best of 1s last split with NALCS was we had to kind of elect a coach to be the coach of the split before we saw any best of 5s, right? It was all best of 1s. So we didn't even know the adaptations besides what they went from day 1 to day 2. So that's where we get a better idea of how these coaches are drafting, what adaptations they're making, and how, even if their team loses the game, they get them back into the series for the next one.
Well, these coaches seem to know what they're up to, at least the teams do, as picks and bans have kind of flown through here. Already, a lot of the power picks taken away. Rek'Sai, Ryze, and Vladimir from the side of Dream Team. Cloud9 Challenger taking out Azir, Cassiopeia, and Zillion. Insta-locking the Karma from Cloud9 Challenger. Could be going support, could be going mid lane, but a quick answer from Dream Team already.
It's always that elimination Karma support, man. It's his meta. He saw it before everybody else, before it was even good, before it was actually even good because it wasn't buffed. So
he has played it twice. That's twice as many times as high, but it's been banned a lot against Cloud9, so not surprising to see them pick that one up. But similarly with Dream Team, the Braum has been banned away from them previously. They grabbed that one, as well as the Nidalee, which has been banned away from them quite a lot, although they've never won with it yet.
Yeah, it gives Acadian a very aggressive jungler, but the problem is that Nidalee cannot usually win the game by herself unless she intensely snowballs the game. Like solo queue Nidalee is an absolute terror because she has the potential to do that. Gank lanes and also just outfarm the jungler, so she's already ahead of 2 people. And if she continues to gank more, then she can just spill that over into other lanes. But these games, people are a little bit like more resourceful. They aren't actually giving up a whole bunch of kills, so Nidalee doesn't get as fed, and then she ends up in a poke pattern against people who are usually building a pretty bit tanky. Like we don't see those old school like chunk you down to 1/4 HP spears.
Now, speaking of tanky pickups, Shen has been locked in for the side of Cloud9 Challenger, and we mentioned map movements all throughout the pregame. Taking a look at Cloud9's composition right now, Karma's Shield, Sivir picked up his AD carry for the On the Hunt. Shen, of course, with his global presence coming out from teleport from his ultimate and potentially teleport in top lane. It's a lot of pressure going across the map and a lot of ability to move from the side of C9C.
Yeah, it's also going to change your draft up a little bit as Dream Team. The Braum, the stun is not as reliable when a Shen has Spirit's Refuge, the dodge zone. So you tag somebody with the Braum passive concussive blows, but then you're deceived because you think you can proc it, you think you can make it activate, but it's not going to happen if he hits the W.
You're going to miss.
Yep. It takes you off guard because you're usually thinking, well, this next shot's going to do that, and it doesn't end up being that way, so it can take you off guard.
Dream Team looks like they are going to respond by picking up something that we've seen rising a little bit more in popularity in the top lane, especially against that Shen matchup, which is the Gnar, and then kind of going with the staple AD carry in the bot lane. They picked it in about a third of all of their games, going with that Lucian.
Yeah, I've never particularly liked the Gnar pickups recently. Europe is very big on it. It ended up developing because a lot of people were picking Shen early on, and then they countered it with Gnar. But I've yet to really see a Gnar destroy a Shen, because even if Shen gets shut down, it's the old Maokai issue where he still is relevant because he has his CC that doesn't have to scale with anything but levels, and then he also has an ultimate that gets him into the fights. He can have more global pressure than you, where you're kind of relegated to split pushing and then having a team fight. That goes in your favor based off your Gnar bar.
Well, speaking of team fights and the Gnar bar, one of the things that Dream Team struggled with previously was finding kind of the go button for their team. With the Braum and the Gnar, they kind of have 2 ways to get in there, but with the mobility from Cloud9 Challenger, now they're able to pick up characters. They're going to be dealing the damage. They have the Graves in the jungle, that carry style jungler that we were talking about previously for contracts, and Hai's actually going to be picking up Victor for what looks like the first time in the Challenger Series.
Yeah, I love that pick. It's going to put some pressure onto Peekenwolf because it's one of his best champions to just wave clear with and actually team fight. So I'm interested to see what he picks up because a lot of those S tiers are gone now. And if he's played Talia, then yeah, let's go.
Talia locked in. I thought he'd be going with the Lissandra, which was something he's played a lot, especially when the Victor's been taken away from him and all the rest of the power picks have gone through. But Talia's another one of those champions that it's a playmaking kind of champion. We've already compared it to Twisted Fate on previous broadcasts, but it gives a little bit more of that map pressure because you can quite literally cut off ways of escape that this Karma and that this Sivir are going to want to kind of run to.
Yeah, and that's big because when somebody has their flash down, it's a pretty much 100% kill at that point. If they don't have a way to get over a wall, like 3 of these members on Cloud9 Challenger, if you gank that bottom lane, you do it twice, boom, you're going to be able to set yourself up for success. Make sure that the TP's on point, though, from Shen, so that he's actually going to be able to be the one that defends. So I want to see how Peking Wolf plays this because it's not the easiest of matchups. It's not the easiest champions to play, but you do have a lot of influence and potential to influence the map, especially if the other team doesn't have as much experience against it.
We're going to have to see if that potential is going to stick Cloud9 Challenger between a rock and a hard place. Anyway, guys, it's enough from us. We want to know what you guys think.
Dom back.
You want Dom back? No. We want to know what everybody but Zyrene wants to think. So join in on the conversation taking place on Twitter by voting for the team you think will come out on top. Hashtag C9CWin or hashtag DTWin to show your support for your favorite NACS team as we jump into the first game of this best of 5 here at the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this one because Dream Team versus Cloud9 Challenger, sure, they've shown their strengths over time, are kind of similar, but the last time they played each other back in week 3, they were 24-minute games, both of them in favor of Cloud9 Challenger with a little bit of flavor, but very quick, like 50 minutes of actual game time, below 50, honestly. So that's incredible. That's just showing absolute domination, and if that happens again to Dream Team in game 1, it could start snowballing the series from a mental standpoint.
Well, one of the big things I really want to kind of keep my eyes on as we're settling down on the Rift is pretty much where the lane phase settles down. We've talked about at length already how both of these teams really like making moves across the map. Cloud9 Challenger, with all of that LCS experience, they know how to gain advantages out of these lane swaps and mitigate damage, whereas Dream Team previously has shown whenever they make one of those map movements, they're sometimes behind on the response to what their opponents are doing.
Yeah, and that just shows the difference between understanding and mastery. I believe that Dream Team understand the concept of what they need to do at different points in the game and what they need to put pressure on, like priority turret over dragon over this, etc. Whereas Cloud9 have really mastered it and said, what is the other team's priority right now, and can we answer that? And that's the next level, right? Applying what you know to the other team in every scenario and thinking, what do they want, right? And that's what junglers need to do as well, is where's this guy going to be? What does he want to do? And that allows you to set up for counter ganks and things like that. And that's what I'm looking for these two junglers transitioning into our featured matchup there.
Quite the segue there, as Cloud9 looks like they are the ones that opt into the lane swap, sending their duo lane to the top side, whereas Cloud9 Challenger going to be starting on the bottom side of the map for their jungle pattern. Lemonation spots out Acadian in his own jungle, gets actually a large chunk of damage there with the Mantra Q. Lemonation's going to kind of poke Acadian away, but it's just really more annoying than anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't have Ignite or anything like that. Trung is going to try to pick up a little bit of CS if he can. Gets 2. But then bottom lane, it's actually a double lane. Contracts actually walked over and started laning alongside Balls. So gave him a little bit of assistance there.
And now it looks like Balls will leave that lane and give a little assistance to Contracts in the jungle. Mid lane has kind of just been a little bit of a spell fest for now, throwing things around, but the teleport coming in now from top as Charong's going to wind up coming down and taking this tower. Dream Team are making the adaptation. Now that they've seen that Balls is double jungling, they're going to try to put the first move on the map by teleporting down first. Balls does wind up responding, but a little bit faster there from Dream Team.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. So
a little bit.
I'm actually going to go into a little bit of what happened in that lane swap from a jungler perspective. So because of the fact that Contracts was in the lane helping Balls farm for that first portion, that's why he has 13 CS after, you only have Raptors and, so 4, 3, 9. So he ended up picking up at least 5 CS there, or 4 CS in the lane. And that's something that you're like, okay, what does he lose for that? Well, he had to take his jungle on this side of the map. He took it from the weak side, which you're not normally allowed to do. But then Acadian said, oh, Graves is bottom. I'm going to take my weak side of the jungle. So Acadian actually showed that the pressure that is normally exerted in lane swaps to the jungler is something that he's not going, okay, play it by the book, just go by the script, which is you should clear your strong side. But if he did that, he would have gotten triple buffed. So he had the confidence to go back up to that top side where he was pushed out of the jungle and then got his entire top red side.
Well, this is why we've made that feature matchup using these two junglers. Not only are their numbers and mechanical prowess great, but the decision-making between them is what really has set them apart from some of the other North American Challenger Series competitors. Speaking of decision-making, looks like Contracts might want to pay a visit to mid lane, but Pekin Wolf is a little keen to that with a ward placed down there. So after the initial lane swap, things look like they might be settling down a little bit, although Dream Team now has kind of taken the initiative to swap their duo lane up top, whereas Cloud9 Challenger are now sending theirs down to the bottom as well. So we might just wind up seeing another tower trade coming in.
Yeah, it's probably just going to be the lane swap back again. Contracts walks straight through mid and actually shares some of the experience. And Balls is going to make his journey as well to try and get that turret. This is pretty standard here, except that Acadian's on this side. That's really off.
Yeah, Acadian now, saw him clearing that blue buff earlier. It looks like he has a flash over the wall as well.
And then W, okay.
Yeah, so Contracts just asserting his jungle dominance in this feature matchup as he's now going to meet up with the rest of Cloud9 Challenger and not only take this bottom side tower, but now with 4 members from Cloud9 Challenger, that dragon's available. Yeah,
that was actually really strange from Acadian to be on that side of the map when the lane swap was continuing. And he had seen Contracts path through the mid lane. So it was just a little bit off there, and it cost him his flash. I don't know if he had to use it, but he decided to do so off of the fear of, I don't know, maybe another Q coming out. Don't know if the cooldown's that short at this level, but it was definitely something that probably wasn't necessary. And that's the thing, too, is flashing that early is sometimes great, but if you are able to get the enemy flash and you know that you have a way to get out, like if Contracts had flashed and E'd the follow, you flash then and UW. You'll take some damage, but you'll still have the same amount of distance between you and him, and you get his flash and not just a free one for him.
You end up going for a trade rather than using one of your own, although with Shen moving down from the mid lane, maybe getting a little bit scared, but he is going to wind up meeting up with his own team in the top side, so it's a tower for tower trade. But as we mentioned before, Cloud9 Challenger, strong side on the bottom side of the map, means that they have access to the first Ocean Drake of the game.
Yeah, and Ocean is one of the best ones to have. If not, I actually would say it's the best one to have as the first dragon.
Especially for the early game, if they're going to be making these movements and pushing these towers. Acadian, you saw him get chunked out before, taking a lot of damage in his jungle, but now the rest of Cloud9 Challenger, they can kind of stay on the map a little bit longer.
Exactly. Helps your jungler stay healthy during his clear, because it only goes off in combat with turrets and champions. So if you're farming and you stay out of combat long enough in like mid lane, well, you have like kind of a pseudo blue buff. Very, very, very pseudo in that way. It doesn't work too well, but it's still something that gets you much closer to having an advantage. Like any type of advantage during this laning phase is a big one, especially if it's one that allows you to be more durable through the trades, because these are sustained in professional play, right? In solo queue, you're all about that all in. You're like, I want that Infernal Drake. All 3, 1 back to back to back.
Aggression.
Whereas here it's like Ocean Drake, fantastic, because everybody's so passive early on and you're just farming and you're looking for those CS.
We'll have to see if the Baby Blues do anything for C9C's members here, although Dream Team, once again, they're the ones that are making the movements on the map and kind of making Cloud9 be a little bit more reactive. Their bottom lane comes down to contest with Balls in a 2v1 matchup, whereas on the top side now, Cloud9 Challenger has sent their own members of the duo lane top side. But things have been working out slightly more favorable for Balls, as he does have almost double the CS, which is not a lot right now, but still a large advantage over Chiron.
Yeah, it's a very large lane. Oh!
Pekin Wolf,
I don't know if he... Oh!
Chaos Storm goes through. High, getting a little aggressive now that he's got that. It's because of the regen. He knows he could do it.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Ocean Drake and you go for trades like that, you know that you'll have more HP than them in a few seconds. But yeah, the Talia, that sounded like... Okay. Oh, oops. I don't know what that was. That sounded like ultimate. I don't know why.
I think it's just the tower.
It was the ultimate. Pekin Wolf did use his ultimate.
He did. So
yeah.
Looked like he wanted to potentially get out of the way, as he does have a flashing health bar, but tower trades across the map mean that things are still going to be relatively even when it comes to the gold score for both of these teams, but still it's Dream Team being the ones to kind of make moves and want Cloud9 Challenger to be the ones to adapt. It looks like they know that the early game and the movements on the map there are kind of where they want to jump out ahead. One of the things that Cloud9 Challenger is really good at is when they get a lead, they keep it. Dream Team has a little bit of an issue with that, but if they're able to eliminate an entire side of the map, it kind of condenses where those fights are going to be with Braum Ultimate, with Gnar.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that Dream Team, you know, they end up giving up some of their leads over time, and Cloud9 Challenger have shown that they're really good at CSing. And hold on, we'll talk about that in a second, because trying to set something up for high here. Pekin Wolf used both of his abilities, so you kind of have to wait for it. It's about 3 seconds, 4 seconds until they're back up, but...
Hero minion blocked the spear.
Yeah.
No, Pekin Wolf wants to get aggressive, though. High's going to flash away from that one. He had Lemonation coming up the mid lane, but decides to flash away from the aggression.
Yeah, if he had gone up to the left, then maybe Norskaren would have been there in time if he had flashed and queued. So he uses the flash really early on. It's another one of those ones where you're like, maybe he didn't have to, but it's better safe than sorry. Especially in the moment when you don't have absolute God vision as well, because he doesn't know exactly who's there, because Braum could be there as well.
It's true. So we're getting the second round of buffs now here as Dream Team are moving down to their bottom side of the map, which is well, the one that they've cleared out of towers right now. But it looks like the bottom lanes are just kind of avoiding each other as much as possible. I don't know if that's something that Dream Team is looking for or something Cloud9 Challenger is actively doing.
It's kind of a mixture here, because C9C, they ended up initiating the lane swap. Even though it's a Sivir and then you have the bully of the Karma, the Braum Lucian lane can be a bit of a kill lane and can be a big problem for you. But there is the flip side where Norscaren may not always want to actually go for those brawls. And this sucks, though, for Churong. Churong is already behind in CS. This happened last time as well. I remember he played Rumble into balls. And he ended up getting punished really hard, and he got shut down, mostly because of things like this, where Balls just has a gigantic mini wave to farm. He's going to be higher level. He's going to have more CS. And it's really going to suck for Strong. He's going to have to find other things to do on the map, especially since they swapped it back on the other side. And now he has a super long lane that he's in. And Acadian actually... Okay. So Acadian walks all the way through the jungle and tries to exert pressure onto Balls and try to get him to back up from this minion wave so that Chiron can get some CS, can push it forward. As long as Acadian's keeping track of him, and they can also track down where Contracts is.
Well, Balls has already accrued a decent CS advantage, and one of the things to keep an eye on as both dual lanes are on the bot side now is the Infernal Drake spawning in less than a minute. Teleport looks like it might not be up exactly the time Dragon spawns for Tyrone, but you have the Shen ultimate, the Stand United, and Teleport available for Balls. So Cloud9 Challenger, maybe they're the ones that looked like they initiated the lane swap and then reacted to Dream Team's movements, but they themselves now have a cross-map play to set up with that Shen to Shen it up.
Yeah.
The Shen ultimate.
Yeah. But what Trong needs to do is push this wave out. Perfect. Now go join his team. Set up for Infernal Drake. If you won't have Teleport, then you back now and you walk there, and you force Balls to use one of his abilities, whether it's the Teleport or it's the Stand United, to get there and possibly miss out on some of the CS underneath the turret.
Well, C9C, Altec actually winds up going back, although Contract and Lemonation are in the area, making sure Dream Team is not going to be able to sneak away an Infernal Drake from them today.
So Teleport will be up for Trong, but Trong is also just clearing the jungle on that side. So he's actually doing a really good job of clearing these out, takes the Gromp, takes everything there, and he's just maximizing his time and efficiency.
We had Acadian button heads with Contracts here, and Chirong trying to do his best feature matchup impression by invading Cloud9 Challenger's entire topside jungle. They have a bunch of abilities going back and forth. Spear does land on the Contracts, but Elimination with the Karma Shield is going to protect a bit of that damage. But it looks like it's Dream Team that are going to be the ones to initiate the Dragon. Now, we did see Chirong go back, so he is walking towards top lane.
Yeah.
Both of them with their teleports available.
And he's TPing now. He's got half an R bar, and he's at the blue buff.
Well, Contract's actually going in. Stand United is out, but in comes the Braum ultimate. Victor W is down, and Shen gets a good taunt across right there. First blood goes over to Altec, but Acadian jumps in, gets a counter kill on the Contracts, but Dream Team are running away from C9 Challengers high in the back lines. It looks like it's a split fight here as the carries are going down on both sides, but it's Dream Team that get the first 3 kills. A double kill picked up for High, though, to even it up at 3 apiece. Peek and Wolf extremely low, has to be careful here. Shen taunt landing could spell devastation for him, and they have to back away a 3 for 3.
Yeah, and he's just going to be much faster because that worked ground gives you bonus percentage movement speed. That increases as you level, but Peek and Wolf able to walk back onto the mid lane where he has a whole bunch of them and get out safely. But yes, 3 for 3. Drake goes over to nobody, and that was a very split fight. It looked like High got to kind of do whatever he wanted there, picking up 2 kills and 1 assist, and he's the main beneficiary of that fight.
Both teams looked like they kind of went into each other's backlines, only for Cloud9 Challenger, the backline was the one going into Dream Team's backline.
That's true. It's true. Their backline was walking straight up there, so all their damage dealers were trying to hone in on 1 or 2 people. It was a good job by Peek and Wolf to actually set up the wall, but then they got Lemonation off of it, and I believe they finished off Contracts. So High, Balls, and Altec were all on the right side, and then Altec was able to get 1v3 down by Massacre.
Well, in the wake of that engagement, the Infernal Drake started up again by Contracts, as now the rest of the members of the map have spawned. Balls making his way, or actually never really going back after that fight. Ocean Drake OP. He's going to come down here, and it looks like Cloud9 Challenger are going to secure themselves their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, you can't contest that when Sharon goes to the top side because he doesn't have teleport anymore. And even if Balls answered him, Balls has the TP still available because he had used Stand United previously and not the Summoner spell. So that gave, after that fight, despite like nobody picking it up and it being even, it does go in Cloud9's favor just because of the champions that they had selected and the global pressure and who had stayed up.
Cloud9 Challenger picks up their second dragon of the game, but the gold lead's still ever so slightly in favor of Dream Team. Just a couple hundred.
It's actually kind of interesting because I just want to go through that scenario that just happened because Contracts picks that up. The scenario that just happened, because Charong didn't have teleport, so you should put him mid lane, put Pekin Wolf top with his teleport if you do want to still contest that Drake. Because Pekin Wolf hasn't had to use it this game. He hasn't had to use his teleport. You do give some CS funneled into somebody who's okay in CS with the Talia, and Charong, it becomes a little bit harder for him to pick some up because people in the mid lane were kind of pushing it in so that they could do Drake, but I think that if you wanted to maximize and possibly have the potential to contest it, that's what you go for. But they decided not to do that, and Dream Team instead give up their second Drake, which may hurt them later. And this is really interesting because Contracts barely gets out. He flashes because he doesn't want to die, and that delivers balls, so it's a good play there. And then he doesn't have flash, so Pekin Wolf and Acadian with the wall are able to pick them up. Acadian able to chase, hits Elimination as he's using the Q, so he gets locked in animation. And then Massacre, not able to get away, and Pekin Wolf has to flash because he went a little bit too far forward there. Maybe could have started pushing mid lane out if he had known, but overall, 3 for 3.
And we mentioned already, it looked like Cloud9 Challenger got the upper hand because their backline was in Dream Team's backline.
Yeah.
A little unfortunate was Shrung's Narbar never went off that fight. He teleported in a little far away, had to jump into the fight, and by the time he got there, the fight had already kind of broken out. So he wasn't able to beat the beefy front line, which seems to be why Cloud9 Challenger is able to really cause that disruption. But now it's Dream Team looking to cause a little bit of panic here.
Norscarin.
Oh, Norscarin gets stunned up, taunted up, but turn around here from the Braum ultimate. Pekin Wolf's going to pick one up right there. Another one goes over to Acadian. Now Dream Team getting tossed around a little bit. They are going to back away, but a good invade coming out from them.
Really well played there from, honestly, all of Dream Team. Norscarin's caught out, but he lives just long enough. The Victor ultimate pulse wasn't able enough to take him off, and then he flashes away, Braum ultimates backwards, and that's where Charong gets a great position on the fight and slams them into the wall. They get 2 kills for nothing, and that puts Dream Team at a 2,000 gold advantage as they pick up this Rift Herald. And I love the follow-up of the Pekin Wolf wall for the disengage.
Oh, looks like Cloud9 Challenger are going to let this one go. Actually,
got it.
Altec steals it, so that's going to be Rift Herald going over to Cloud9 Challenger as well as a kill here. A shutdown onto Balls' Shen. Now it looks like High going to want to get a kill here as Norscarin just wanted some help from his team, but instead 2 are going to go down. C9C with a great response.
It's actually 3 going down there. Acadian also dies in that whole exchange. So High now 3-0 and 3, 100% kill participation. That's where Cloud9 Challenger, they say, you done goofed. They catch them on the Rift Herald, does a lot of damage, takes a long time to actually take down. And Cloud9 Challenger, we talked about it in terms of map movements. We talked about it at the start with the shot calling. Dream Team, they understand what they should be doing. Cloud9 Challenger have mastered that and say, okay, what do they want to be doing? Because they don't even have vision of this right now.
And they don't have any of their ultimates either.
Oh, there we go. Let's just go ahead. Balls with the taunt. Doesn't even have the flash. And then gets the follow-up there. Says, all right, Norscarin's probably going to jump out. And then High walks around. Really well played there. I love that he used his abilities onto Charong because he knew with his Rylai's that he would be able to take out Norscarin right afterwards, having no flash and just using his stand behind me.
So what started as something that we thought was in favor of Dream Team very quickly gets turned around by, like you mentioned, the decision-making coming out from Cloud9 Challenger. We saw Dream Team's strengths. When they have those ultimates available and they fight in those close quarters, things go extremely well for them because C9C can't use their mobility. But C9C had the tactical knowledge to know, okay, those ultimates are down. This is a difficult objective to take. We can just take them on, even with the 4v5 there, to shut them down.
Yeah, and they went for it too, and I think that it was a really good idea. They knew that the health bars were rather low from Dream Team still, and the fact that High, he's honestly really fed right now. 3-0 and 3 on Victor. He's 11 CS down, but it doesn't really matter. I love the fact that he went for that Rylai's very early on instead of going straight for the rush here on his Hex Core because he had the gold to do so. So, and the reason I love that is this is going to be a lot about team fighting, and the fact he's so far ahead with the 100% KP. You look at where the kills are allocated on Cloud9 Challenger, it's him and Altec. And then you look at Dream Team, and there's 3 of them on Acadian, the Nidalee, who, if you're able to blow her up, you just take all of that gold off the field. You make yourself a little bit tankier with the Rylai's, which people overlook a little bit, but I think it's a really good plan here from High to set up his team for the team fighting. Also make those taunts a little bit easier to land.
Well, now that C9C has won one of those fights, they're not going to let Dream Team go quietly into even their own side of the jungle, contesting the red buff, which will get picked up by Acadian. And as we saw in our featured matchup between these two junglers, a lot of kills and a lot of resources from Dream Team do go on to Acadian. He likes playing that carry style of jungler, as though it looks like he's going to be the one that needs some carrying right here, as he and Massacre have to get out of the over the wall very quick there. As C9C now, with a relentless assault into the enemy jungle, they're just living at their buffs, and they want to deny as many resources as possible. Ultimate comes out from Taliyah. Wolf trying to cut off C9C's escape. He does, but Dream Team unable to capitalize.
Yeah, and they're just trying to bully the jungle, and this is what like TSM does, right? As soon as you start getting control of the jungle, go to every buff. You have those buff timers that just show now on your mini-map, and make sure that you can take every one of them. It's a small advantage, but it builds up, and if you keep doing that and keep clearing the jungle, you starve resources from your opponent. And they have a great understanding of that. And where their gold is, too, is just perfect. Like I said, it's on High and Altec, the 2 big carries. And Altec's gold just out of control right now. Look at that.
Yeah, he's got almost a 2,000 gold advantage over his counterpart, and the most gold in the game. It looks like now Dream Team getting caught between a rock and a hard place themselves, as High, Contracts, and Elimination bullying up this mid lane, going to be forcing
Contracts is ulti.
Oh, he gets him right there. Great shot by Contracts to clean up the low HP mid laner.
Ooh.
Unlucky.
Yeah, I'm like, did Norskaren have...
Ooh, the flash over the wall. Stand United. They want Acadian here.
He's got top flash, too.
Elimination goes over the wall. Charon also trying to hop away. The exhaust goes out. The root from Karma is going to land. Perfect CC chain after that. The flash even, but Acadian is going to drop.
Yeah, and this is just a disaster for Cloud9, or for Dream Team right now, because Cloud9 are just cleaning them up and getting everything on the map.
Yeah, and Dream Team, we talked about maybe their map movements being strong, but now they're in that mid-game point where they tend to struggle. Massacre has to flash over that wall. Norskaren actually almost goes down from that collateral damage coming out from Altec. Already picked up a Phantom Dancer on top of that Essence Reaver. He's dealing a lot of damage now.
Yeah, he had the double crit items, and that's where he almost 2v1 both Acadian and Massacre when they were off on the right side. That was where I was like, okay, Altec, how much gold does this guy have? He's got a lot to spend right now. His Cull also popped previously, so he got a little bit of a boost. Picks up a BF sword, and now he's just going for what I would assume is the next in the line of the crit items and get the Infinity Edge for those team fights where he gets the big ricochets.
And now that Sivir has that itemization, now that those ricochet crits are going to be bouncing off the walls, quite literally, dealing a lot of damage, Dream Team's kind of one strength that they were having going into the later stages of the game of catching people in areas, going for fights and choke points and stuff, are going to be a little bit more risky, especially now that they were heading gold until about maybe 5 minutes ago, and now it's C9C pulling ahead with about a 2,000, little less than that gold lead, but slowly but surely pulling ahead.
Yeah, it's a 1.5k right now, but the 3 Drakes and the Infernal that's spawning next is a very big problem here for Dream Team. Because this could put Cloud9 Challenger even further ahead. They've been leveraging these Drakes all game long, and their play has just been fantastic in terms of decision-making. So Cloud9 Challenger, I mean, we saw them kind of take over the game after capitalizing on some mistakes from Dream Team, but Dream Team haven't been forcing the issue. Like, I haven't really seen any Taliyah walls for roams, no shoving in on the Victor and then roaming away.
That's what we saw actually in their series against Nova, was Dream Team just didn't want to pull the trigger, but it looks like they're going to go in on High now. Has to flash over the Taliyah ultimate.
Use the ghost
turn it
too.
Around now. Looks like the Chaos Storm is down, getting some damage down to Acadian. The Rylai slow procs as well. Wolf's going to come in from the side, and they are going to get the shutdown on High. A 2v5 from Cloud9 Challenger. The rest of the team looks like they want to come in right now. Dream Team, a little split between who they want to go after, but they get the pick on somebody with a lot of damage.
Exactly. They get High's ghost and flash with the ultimate from Taliyah, and then they turn it around. The Stand United from Balls comes out, but they're able to finish him off right before that, and they get an elimination.
Ooh, elimination goes down, and Charon leaps into the back lines. Massacre cleans up the kill on Contracts, and Dream Team is going to turn it around. We were just mentioning Cloud9 Challenger might be scary in these team fights now. Dream Team tries to prove us otherwise.
Yeah, it was a little bit off the screen for me. I'm not 100% sure how Elimination got caught. It may have been a seismic shove, but Dream Team, they can hang out by the Baron. They can deny the vision, put down a pink ward, and then it forces them to check.
When the
TP
teleport
comes in from Taliyah. Now they have to check this, but there's 3 of them low. This is where Dream Team gave up an advantage in this game. Is it going to happen again?
We'll have to see. Peckinwolf comes in. He's going to try to zone balls away. Northscaren extremely low. Massacre has to dash out of the pit. Northscaren gets executed by Baron Nashor. Now it's balls that are starting to turn onto. He flashes away. Buys some time for High to respawn and come into the fight. It's 2 going to be 3 going down in favor of Cloud9 Challenger. And Dream Team fall for the Baron trap.
Oh, the Baron and the Rift Herald, both big miscalls there from Dream Team. And I've said it maybe twice. I'm going to say it a third time now. It's the difference between understanding and mastery. Dream Team understand where they need to be, but they aren't understanding and mastering that because you know that Cloud9 knows this and that they're going to answer you. So you have to say, like, oh, it's the standard, like, oh, we should do Baron now. And you don't think they're going to come stop us at Baron. Do we have the resources to do that? And now Cloud9 get the Baron because of that. Really interesting call. Definitely not the right one at the end of the day because they denied vision. Balls has no vision here. Balls is face checking this and walking through.
Taking a lot of damage doing so. It's just, he's so tanky here. He's just buying time for the rest of C9C to get there. Altec was there dishing out some damage with those ricochets, and then High comes in with the Rylai slows, everything, the AoE damage onto the already low members of Dream Team, and they clean it up. On the back of that, they get the Baron, and they push down to tier 2 mid lane. Catastrophic now for Dream Team.
Yeah, Dream Team, a little bit impatient there, and I think that's what this game is showing, is that Rift Herald, a little impatient. That Baron, a little impatient as well. I think that if they just calmed down a little bit and they understood that they could bait these objectives, where their HP bars are going to be, because like Chirong is not going to tank that Baron. He's got really no armor. He's got the boots and a cloth armor now, but Baron does a lot of physical damage. You do need resistances to deal with it. High
Wolf goes in, and he's going to get melted by Cloud9 Challenger. The Chaos Storm on one side and the remaining members on the other. The wall was his own demise now as Cloud9 are going to barrel down the mid lane. They chunk out Acadian. He has to run away from his team. Northscaren's going to get constantly slowed up by that Rylai's Crystal Scepter. The Gravity Field cutting off his escape. Has to try to go through the base gate, but Contracts is going to pick up a kill there. Baron buff on C9C. They're going to get an inhibitor off of that.
Yeah, the wave clear is only Massacre right now. Gnar and Nidalee both really kind of suck at clearing the waves out, but they don't have one here on Cloud9 Challenger side, so they're going to go towards the Infernal Drake, pick up even more of an advantage for themselves. And this is why this is so scary to give over Karma and Sivir. Giving over Karma and Sivir just gives so much movement speed to your team. And Pekingwolf here, talking about this replay, he gets hit. If you get hit by damage when you're playing Taliyah and you're kind of riding the wall, you're surfing it, you're going to pop off. And I believe you don't have complete control at that point of where you pop off. So he got hit by the canister, it looked like there, by the smoke screen, and it made him have to kind of
evacuate very quickly.
Evacuate the rock surfing. Stop it.
It's a little unfortunate, too, because you wind up getting evacuated next to a Graves who's going to utilize that wall to deal the most damage he possibly can. Also, Contract using that damage to take down a tower, the rest of his team in the bottom lane. And you mentioned it before, it looks like impatience coming out from Dream Team. This kind of speaks to what we saw in the early game. Cloud9 went and initiated the lane swap. Dream Team was the first one to take their tower and then swap it back. And then they were the ones to swap it back and forth and try to make Cloud9 respond to them. It was working for them in the early game. They had a slight gold advantage off of all this, although they lost the dragon, 2 dragons off of it actually. But then they've continued to try to force those issues. They'd get a really good fight and then try to get too much out of it. And now this is where Cloud9 Challenger, you said the experience is coming into play.
Yeah, you could get even more of an advantage, right? You could farm the jungle, ward up their jungle back. You could do a whole lot of things. And what they chose to do is they chose to do these large objectives instead of baiting the large objective, which, I mean, they could have with that Shen one. I think they could have done a lot of damage to balls, maybe even get his flash or something like that, but we'll see here.
Cloud9.
Ooh.
Ooh, actually, High's going to flash forward now. Chaos Storm goes down. Pekingwolf has to flash away. It's a lot of damage coming out from the 5-1 and 7 Victor. Chirong actually going to get bursted down as well, and Cloud9 Challenger Baron buff's still on them for a little bit, but most of these are going to back off for now.
Yeah, they're going to back up, but they want to end this game pretty quickly. They had two 24-minute games against Dream Team. They kind of want to just take care of business here, but it wasn't going to be that easy right off the bat. Trung TP's really deep.
Yeah, Dream Team look like they might want to try to get something done in the mid lane,
but I don't know what he's looking for.
Cloud9's just all on the top side of the
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Acadian's going to find high. There is a ward in that brush. He does wind up seeing him. The Talia wall is going to come off. Is he going to try to cut someone off?
It doesn't quite work the way he wanted it to.
No.
And now it's a little bit of miscommunication here. Trung doesn't have the Gnar bar. Oh, and he misses his boomerang too, so it puts on a decent cooldown.
Oh, he's going to get hit up by eye here. The Rylai's Crystal Scepter slow is on him. Dream Team are going to try to collapse, but the rest of Cloud9 Challenger is trying to sandwich them in that tri-brush here. Flash away there as Massacre has to try to get in. Flash forward now as Norscarin has to try to get out of there, and Charong is going to fall as Contract picks that one up. Flash taunt from Balls lands on Pekin Wolf, and he's going to wind up having to try to run away from this one, but with the Karma slows and everything going down, he's going to fall. The backside, though, Dream Team does pick up a kill on Contracts, but it's still a 2-for-1 in favor of C9C.
Yeah, and they're going to go straight towards this turret immediately. Cloud9 Challenger saying, we got to maximize this. They take out the turret. There's no safety for Acadian there either. And now they're just being run all across the map. And it looks like they might try to finish the game while their entire team is kind of chasing Dream Team around.
Yeah, Dream Team just, the backs are being stopped. High picks up a kill actually on Acadian. It looks like that the towers are going to go down. The super minions are there from that down inhibitor in the mid lane. And Cloud9 Challenger, they're going to focus the Nexus down and take game 1 against Dream Team.
Wow, in such a commanding fashion after Cloud9 Challenger got a lead. And the gold was on the right people. It was completely even for a good portion of it. But then they capitalized on the decisions that were too far-reaching there
too bold
for Dream Team. Exactly, too bold. They went for too much after some of the fights. Dream Team, it looked like they were getting a little hyphy, like, oh, we did it, we took down these guys, and then they ended up giving it right back to them. And that's something they need to kind of reel in, with coaches here, with coaches with the players. This is where they really start to shine and say, okay, this is how you augment your decision-making for just this. And question is, though, don't tell them to be too passive.
No.
Right? Because then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's one of the things, too, because Dream Team started off this game pretty well. Like, in the lane swap circumstances, they were going blow for blow with Cloud9 Challenger. Cloud9 got the early dragon off of this one, but of course the fight in the top lane where they eventually want to go a little bit too far for the Rift Herald, they wound up getting these things that they wanted. They wound up making the map moves in the early game that they wanted, and for a majority of their lanes, they were going rather even, if not with slight advantages.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to how good this series is going to be if Dream Team are able to hold on to some leads, because this was a game that was very winnable for them at multiple stages where they could have actually kind of banked in and like cashed in on their advantage and got even more, but they went for too much, right? They're putting it all on red when you should be doing it a little bit different than that. Have a little bit of a, if I put a little bit here, a little bit there, what's going to happen with it, and play it that way. But they went a little bit too hard.
Well, thankfully they're not putting it all on red because they're going to swap sides for next game, so they'll be able to put it on blue. But like we said, Dream Team had some advantages in the early stages of the game, but Cloud9 Challenger really kind of started to take over with that mid-game Rift Herald fight.
Yeah, that 3-for-0, but also the Rift Herald went over to Cloud9 Challenger. Altec is able to hit it. I think he hits it like right in the eye too, or I think it may have turned. I'm not 100%, but his Boomerang Blade does pick it up, and then they catch in the back of the pit, Acadian, and then Charong is the focus for High there. So High had really good target prioritization. A lot of the times you're like, oh, that Braum didn't die to the initial damage from my Death Ray. I'll use my Q on him and then maybe turn and use my auto onto the Gnar. But he instead just blows up the Gnar and then turns onto the Flashless and no stand united on the Braum.
That's what you said. It's the difference between execution and mastery there. High knowing what his abilities are able to do, knowing how much damage he needs to take down those targets, able to get pretty much a 2-for-1 in that circumstance as well. But Dream Team, they weren't really out of it quite yet. Even at that point, when it looked really grim, they tried to get back in it with a really good fight, but the Baron call was a little bold.
Yeah, the Baron call, double TP here, and then they don't even bait it. They have a pink ward there for that. This also, when there's more people behind the Baron than in front, Baron will spike. And you saw that hit Norscarin right there as he went over the wall. So he still takes damage. The spikes sometimes actually have a little bit of a stun on them too. But they put so many people in the back, they took a ton of damage in an AoE. And then when they exited the pit, Altec was there, High was there right in time to lay down their damage and pick up the stragglers.
Well, and that also kind of demonstrated the advantage that Balls on Shen was able to get in the earlier stages of the game due to the lane swaps. He was super tanky, able to hold that off pretty much with 1.5 because he kind of had Baron on his side. But
Chirong had a bit where he did catch up in CS and didn't get too far behind, but I still think that was a lane swap that, honestly, it went in favor of Dream Team early, but then the Dragon take, that's what really made it in favor of Cloud9 Challenger. And then we saw them kind of abuse that a little bit with some trades, with some pushing of advantages. And I think that because they got all of the Drakes, their objective control, like, honestly, they got every single neutral objective in this game. Right? They got every Drake, they got it Rift Herald, they stole it, and then they also got the Baron, even though it looked like Dream Team were in position to take 3 of those at one point, one of them being an Infernal.
And some of those Drake calls, too, we saw, I believe it was around the second Dragon fight with the Infernal Drake. After the initial fight, the dust cleared, they sent Chirong top lane to even up his CS differential between him and Balls, making it a family affair because they are cousins. But that meant that Pekin Wolf's teleport was pretty much unused, and Cloud9 Challenger was able to take an advantage and roll off of that.
Yeah, and that's another fight where there's a small thing that was a little bit of a disadvantage, where you look at that fight again where it was at the Infernal Drake. It was really early on in the game. I want to say like 10 minutes-ish. But what happened was that fight went 3 for 3, but then Pekin Wolf starts running at high, and then he has to blow his flash to get out, where if he had just pushed mid afterwards and said, Massacre's going to die, that's fine. He got a counter kill, great. Instead, he ends up blowing a summoner spell that he would have needed later on to possibly have that fight at Drake if they wanted to go back to it.
Well, that is game 1 going over to Cloud9 Challenger, but we're going to be right back to see if Dream Team can even up the score in this best of 5 series. Don't go anywhere, because our Challenger coverage returns in just 5 minutes. Victor W is down, and Shen gets a good taunt across right there. First blood goes over to Altec, but Acadian jumps in, gets a counter kill onto Contract, but Dream Team are running away from C9 Challengers high in the back line. Oh, Norscaran gets stunned up, taunted up, but a turnaround here from the Braum ultimate. Pekin Wolf's gonna pick one up right there. Another one goes over to Acadian.
Balls comes out, but they're able to finish him off right before that, and they get an elimination.
Ooh, elimination goes down, and Chirong leaps into the back lines. Massacre cleans up the kill on Contract. Flash taunt from Balls lands on Pekin Wolf, and he's going to wind up having to try to run away from this one, but with the karma slows and everything going down,